This is the newspaper review segment, and as usual we'll start with the Daily Trust newspaper front page. The major story here says imams, bishops to government provide food security to poor at grassroots. Riders here saying fresh protest in Kano, Labour issues strike ultimatum. Niger government apologizes over arrest of protesting women. Nigerians' resilience being tested. That's according to Speaker. And tinubu orders release of grains. You find all the story on page 4 and 25 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Now below that, there's a pictorial of markets, and it says traders at Nyanya market in Abuja yesterday. I mean, there's a lot of grains and even vegetables, but then Nyanya market is known for being popular, always filled up, but it looks less scanty, with the prices and all that being hiked. Below the headmaster, we have court orders a psychiatric evaluation of suspected killer of ex-boyfriend. You find that on page 16. War on Gaza, 26,751 Palestinians killed in 118 days. That's according to the envoy. A sad situation there. Now, these are some of the stories that you can find on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Moving on to the Punch newspaper, from the top of the page there, it says banks dollar sale falls as naira weakens to 1,479 naira per dollar. Government orders 100,000 metric tons of grains released and warns others. Finally, the government are warning people, this hurdles is really affecting us all. Foreign airlines fear like $200 million loss over naira depreciation. The lead story here is saying 14-day strike notice. The federal government, Labour differ on aborted peace deal. Be patient. Nigeria cannot afford strike this time. Minister begs Labour and seeks cooperation. Hunger, insecurity wrecking Nigeria. NLC TUC laments and says 14-day notice begins today. You find this major story on page 2. Below that, there's a pictorial of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, showing the plans of 2,000 houses in 12 states by December. APC stalwart Ojuogbo, 3 others die watching Super Eagles and South Africa penalties. You find that on page 4 and 5. A sad situation there. Motorists seek extension of Lagos-Ibadan Expressway street lights. And federal government multi-choice agree to $35 million tax settlement. Now, these are some of the stories on the Punch newspaper this morning. Moving on to the Nigerian Tribune. Major story, hardship. The federal government orders release of 102,000 metric tons of rice, maize, garri, millet. Ekiti government distributes 10,000 bags of maize to livestock farmers, and Kano Anti-Corruption Agency threatens warehouses and stores hoarding food items. You find that on page 5 and 28. Below that, we'll see what a woman brings to the table is unquantifiable. That's according to Pastor Temitope Olagbegi. Feminists would definitely appreciate that one. We see a detach of army personnel shortly after their arrival in Ado Ekiti on Thursday. That's the pictorial there explaining the situation. Ekiti federal government deploys special military troop. Soldiers exchange gunfire with kidnappers in forest and arrest 1. How threat to food security in Africa can be tackled. That's according to EU, AU, and experts. 14 abducted passengers of 2 buses in Kogi regain freedom. Cairo Ojuogbo, Abidjan businessman, who and 2 others die while watching Nigerian South African match. Address inflation, poverty, insecurity, food crisis. JNI tells Tinubu and the government. Want those arrested during protest release, and Niger orders release of 25 protesters of economic hardship. Now, from the top of the Tribune front page, it says Reps Speaker gives Nigerians fresh hope in hardship insecurity. NLCTUC issues 14-day ultimatum to federal government to implement agreement. These are some of the stories on the Nigerian Tribune this morning. All right, let's move to the leadership newspaper today. From the top there, AFCON, avoid watching football if hypertensive, doctors warn. I mean, I'm not hypertensive, but I did not even watch it just to not give myself a headache. So it's a really sad situation for those who, the families of those who lost their life through this. Abducted Abuja-bound passengers released, that's according to police. The major story here says hardship, Tinubu governors, reps attempt solutions. Riders are saying president orders release of 102,000 of grains to crush food crisis, and we will keep executive on their toes, Abbas tells Nigerians. Caught in forex demand, food imports inevitable, that's according to NGF, and labor issues a fresh ultimatum. Now, these are some of the stories that you can find on the leadership newspaper this morning. Let's take a look at the Vanguard newspaper. From the top there, it says PH refinery to begin operations as Shell supplies 475,000 barrels of oil. Protest, the federal government mulls food imports if hunger persists. Others release of, about 102,000 metric tons of rice and maize and threatens hoarders of foodstuffs. Edo Guba, 16 parties notify INEC of primary elections. Major story, education with tears, hardship creating more indigent students as students attend classes hungry. Students dropping out will exacerbate insecurity, that's according to ASU and NAPTIAN, and situation pathetic, that's according to NANS. We are taking steps to make life better. That's the federal government making promises there. Below there, we see the AFCON as semis, of the people that we have lost due to hypertension of that situation. NLCTUC also, it's been written in all the front pages of the national dailies. Now, these are some of the paper you can find on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And yes, let's take a look at the nation before we head on to our review. Odrogbo Varsity Bossa, NYC member businessman, died during the Eagles and Bafana AFCON clash. Issues in power sector complicated, says Minister. APM terminals to invest $500 million in Apapa port. Labor issues 14-day ultimatum. No plan to raise petrol price, says NNPCL. More troops in Ekiti. To fight the insurgency, the insecurity happening there at the moment. A major story, food crisis, hardship. The federal government states launched emergency action and Tinubu directs release of grains to cushion the effect, and governors move to save Naira and end insecurity. We hope that works out. House will stand with Nigerians, Abbas pledges. Investors buy into Nigeria's economic reforms and why social media should be regulated. I don't think social media is our main issue right now. That's the only way Nigerians can voice out their grievances from the government. Well, these are the stories that we can take on the Nation newspaper. And right now, of course, we will head on to a review the front pages of the national dailies. As usual, every Friday, we have Malam Nuruddin Abdallah, the editor of 21st Century Chronicles. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Of course. All right, Malam Nuruddin, let's start with what is Hausa people say Chima Tuwo Akwaria, what is really disturbing Nigerians at the moment, which is provide food and insecurity to the poor that imams and bishop has called on. And a lot of people are already crying. The hardship keep increasing. 1 minute you go to the market and you buy something for as low as, as much as, say, 70,000, and the next day the increase is huge, and you go there and then someone will tell you you're buying it for 72 or 75,000. So right now the federal government are saying the hoarders should beware of what they are doing. But do you think that we are also adding to our own suffering as Nigerians?
I don't think so, because blaming traders, market women, or businessmen for the rising inflation is not a solution. Or even, excuse me, the planned rate of some warehouses, like what the current state government is modeling now, I don't think can help the situation. As much as the decision by the government in Niger State, banning traders, commodity traders from buying foodstuff in all the Niger local government areas, I think that is a recipe to anarchy. Niger geographically lies between the north and the south. Turks carry food items from this part of the country to the southern part in particular, Lagos, some part of Kwara State and what have you. With the video I saw of Governor Omar Bago yesterday, giving that order, it means that any available vehicle passing through the state can be attacked. So I think in as much as the problem is biting, almost no Nigerian is immune from the high cost of living, the palpable uncertainty, and what have you. So drastic long-term measures should be implemented. Not this cosmetic approach to issues. The president is saying that he has directed the release of food from the federal government silos. Do they have food in those silos? I hope the president is not repeating what the then President Buhari did. Buhari faced the same issue, I think 2017 or so. And there was the presidential communications directing the relevant authorities to open the silos and give food to people. 24 hours later, the president was shocked that the silos were empty. I remember some years back we did a couple of stories that the silos were even leased out to individuals. From Kaduna to Abuja, I don't know what the situation now. There are, I think, 2 silos. There was silos along that area. Are they filled with food? I don't think so. So, blaming traders. Trader is not a Father Christmas. Many traders are being pushed out of business.
Sure.
Take the automobile industry, for instance. People that go to Cotonou and what have you. I had a discussion with a friend. He said, if you go to Cotonou and buy a vehicle now, you come here, you sell it after 2 weeks or so. The money you expended on the purchase of the vehicle, the revenue from the Benin, Niger, to Lagos, and even the net profit, if you pack it all, if you go back, it's not enough to buy the same vehicle you bought a fortnight ago. That is the situation. So, government, and we should look at the root cause. Removal of the subsidy.
I mean, it's becoming so alarming. I mean, you mentioned Mali and Burkina Faso and others, and it brings me back to this next question of governance, because that is what has been shaking the West African countries' leadership, the good governance that we push for. So right now, the speaker is coming out to say, oh, we are with Nigerians. We feel your pain. We are all about supporting you. When Nigerians feel like the leaders are not really with them. So do you think this changes something, a bit of hope for Nigerians to say, okay, yes, someone is with us at least, so someone can actually speak on our behalf?
That is the recurring problem. The leaders should go beyond rhetorics. That's cheap talk. What Nigerians need is to see inflation coming down, for their purchasing power to improve. Unfortunately, the country is gradually moving to a Zimbabwe during the Robert Mugabe era. You have money, go to the shop, what you'll buy, very insignificant, or to even face an empty shelf. Because the traders are moving out. Locally, don't even talk about the foreign rice, which is getting to about 100,000 now. In some places, it's 80-something thousand. In northern Nigeria, not even in the south, which is higher. The local rice in the villages, the local major, what they call in Hausa Mudu, is about 2,000 naira, local rice, at the time of harvest.
That is really scary.
So, that is the situation. And we should look at what actually triggered this. Yes, some filling stations are not even dispensing fuel. Major marketers are at loggerheads with NNPC. Trading blames, threatening to shut down filling stations.
And we've seen the NNPC come out to say there would not be any increase.
So that is it. We should go beyond talk. Nigerians want to see reality on ground. You understand? Then, yeah, the president did something, you know. At the local planky, the fuel subsidy removal has triggered certain actions. At the other hand, the forex regime, yes, the CBN is trying. The unification of the dollar regime is a very commendable effort.
Would you say there has been a progress, you know, since Cardoso took office in CBN?
Yeah, to a certain extent. She has cleared the backlog.
But we're still stuck.
But still, politicians are still stealing money. That's the reality. They are stealing money, hoarding the dollar in their backyards, I want to feel. And that is why, you know, we have this issue. What Tinubu did actually was very commendable, yeah, to be fair to him. He changed what he made on ground, what the Buhari government did. Giving list of people to CBNs under MFLA to be, you're sitting here, you'll be out, without doing anything. You will receive a call, yeah, you are this, Mrs. This, yes. You have been awarded $500,000. A bank, a commercial bank will call you. Okay, they will give you the balance. You are awarded at 420,000 naira and 20 naira, for instance, and you sell it at 800. They will just transfer the balance to your account. Tinubu cancelled that. Commendable. But I think a lot needs to be done in that regard. Because you close this, the same people open other apertures.
Another ways. I mean, Nigerians are not for that smart ways.
I think we should go beyond textbook economics.
All right. So one thing for sure is holding these people accountable for their words beyond the word you mentioned. It's not just about saying it, but doing it. Well, NLC and TUC are known to, you know, push to make sure that all the promises have been kept. So right now they're threatening to go on strike. I mean, but they've given 14-day ultimatum starting today. And yes, would agree with the presidency. Nigeria is not in a state where they need to be strike right now. It wouldn't look good for the economy. But then for the federal government to come out and say that, does that mean they don't need, there is no plan of, you know, making decisions between this 14-day elapse?
You know, that is what I don't expect this administration to do. If you check, contextualize Buhari's tenure, you know, there are a lot of this. You know, they tackle problems with cosmetic political solutions. Not only NLC that is threatening to go on strike in the next 2 weeks. ASU is equally mobilizing. If ASU call for a strike, NLC go for a strike now, I'm afraid that we will have a repeat of the NSAS protest. When Buhari removed subsidy, I remember, NLC under Waba came up Abuja Street. They were chased away by Nigerians who were supporting Buhari at that time. But before he left office, that has changed drastically. President Tinubu should not repeat the Buhari mistakes. If you have an agreement with Union XYZ, ensure that you fulfill it. If you cannot fulfill it, call them. I promise to give you 1 billion naira. But these are the realities on ground. They are humans, they are Nigerians, they are educated. Look at the fuel prices.
Do you think the government is not taking this labor union seriously at this point?
I think that is it, particularly with the Buhari regime. Nigeria kicked out labor and adopted Buhari at the beginning, only to regret it much later. Take, for instance, he promised to pay 4 months of the ASU with health salary. Out of the 8 months, he promised to pay 4 months. Up to now, no dime has been paid. Not to talk of the agreement reached that ASU withdrew from that 8 months. Look at the 35%, the 35,000 naira palliative or whatever you call it. He only paid 2 months. I'm not talking about other clauses he signed with the TUC NLC. He shouldn't tread that part. It's very dangerous. If you have an agreement with NLC, TUC, ASU, and along the way you realize that the prices of the crude is falling, that's our major way of making money, call them. They are humans.
Come back
and you cut other expenses. You can't say you cannot pay NLC this, whereas you are channeling billions into other some spurious programs and what have you. And that is the only way of getting the confidence of Nigeria. This government is less than 1 year in office. But the signals are not positive. We had a protest in Niger. One aggressive police commissioner arrested
the women there.
25 hungry women and widows.
Let's not forget also the hardship that ASU made mention is creating for students also, where students are going to school without eating in hunger, and then right now some are threatening to leave school.
Do you know how many students dropped out because of the deregulation of the education sector by Buhari? After the 8 months of ASU strike, the council, what do they call it, of the VCs made, okay, they agree in principle without any public communication that they should increase school fees. That is why there are universities that are charging as much as 500,000. 500,000.
In Nigeria, this is really scary, Malam Nuruddin, and it takes us back to why Nigerians are going out, you know, to the Benin Republic and all that to seek for education, which has also caused another controversy, which is really sad. But quickly, I want to hear your thoughts on, you know, the AFCON that happened, of the situation. You know, people are saying it's a bit of distraction for what is going on in the country, and also, you know, the lives that we lost in the AFCON due to, you know, the pressure that they were faced.
You know, I'm not a football fan, but it was a temporary relief.
Indeed.
You know, many Nigerians took solace on the game, you know, to move away from the realities on ground. The high cost of living, transportation, drugs. A paracetamol now is almost 200.
Indeed.
Where you will even get it, if you are lucky to get it. One card, which used to be 35 naira, particularly now 200. If you are lucky to get it, you understand. So the AFCON, we hope that Nigeria wins by Sunday when they meet with the Cote d'Ivoire, with the host country. So that at least maybe for a week or so we will celebrate. Then we will go back to maybe, and I hope that the presidency, the governors will utilize this small window to do their homework. By the time we are back from AFCON, the price of rice will have gone down.
That would be great, Malam Nuruddin. It would be great. I mean, considering we saw how it brought unity.
Yeah, sure.
You know, I haven't seen the whole your Yoruba, your Hausa, your on the social media platform. So that is something. I mean, we need to start there and hope that it
and
continues.
Maybe I hope that there won't be these penalties that cost the life of many Nigerians.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Thank you so much, Malam Nuruddin Abdallah, editor of 21st Century Chronicle, for joining us this morning to review the front pages. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And of course, viewers, that is the most that we can take on the show Daybreak on Trust Television. Thank you so much for staying with us. Please do stick around. At the top of the hour, Emmanuel Fashemi will bring you 360 Sport. I am Sumaya Abubakar. To have a lovely day.